Hi, welcome back to my channel. My name is Betty and this is Happy Little Loop Crochet, and today we are going to be so this video was just going to be about Tikki since I was pattern testing for Névine, but I got the flu and my entire family got the flu. So since we're recording this video, Névine actually came out with Plagg as a part of her kwamis series, and so I'm going to be including him in this video. Okay, thanks, bye. So this part's actually totally irrelevant to the video, but I did paint a pair of 18mm eyes. I used some specialty glitter paint that I got from Walmart, and they actually came out really pretty. They took probably 4 or 5 layers to become opaque, and then they were super sparkly and super blue and super beautiful, completely 100% too small. For this project, I did use Hirschner's Holiday Velvet. This can be found on Hirschner's website. It's a pretty good quality velvet. It's not as soft and silky as Bernat, if that is the velvet that you're used to. This is more grippy than that. It's not necessarily hard to work with, but I do recommend using like a pretty good hook for it. I'm using my 4mm clover for this, and it actually makes working with it a lot better than if you have, say, an aluminum just basic crochet hook that doesn't have any kind of like coating on it to help you with your work. Then it might be a little hard on your wrist. But if you do have a good hook, then I would say this yarn is pretty good for getting those colors that you might not be able to find in other yarns. This year I decided to try my hand at crochet journaling. You could see like my little doodle of Tikki of what I imagine her to look like in the top corner of like my journal page. I had these markers that I've never really used before, and so I was trying to like find a way of using those, and it's actually kind of hard. So my drawings thus far have not been that successful, but I don't know, I kind of wanted to give it a go before I switch over to something easier to use, like normal markers or color pencils or whatever. But we'll see. I am proud to say that now it's like mid-February, or I guess like the first couple of weeks of February, and I am still going strong. I've been able to log every single project that I've worked on this year, including my Etsy orders and like just personal projects, which is pretty exciting. It's like what I've been doing is, especially for like my pattern testing, I've been putting like a little doodle, talking a little bit about like when I started the project, when I finished the project, any like major problems that I saw, and you know, who the project's for, and just like, you know, little thoughts about it. It's been pretty fun. This pattern was pretty cool. It had the arms attached in the round, so it's a no-sew method. So basically you crochet the arms first, and then you single crochet across the top of that arm, and then when you're working into the appropriate round of the body, you will insert your hook both through the arm and then into the body, and you perform your single crochet through both layers essentially to attach the arms. This is nice. Sometimes it can be a problem depending on like what's going on in the pattern. If there are decreases seem to be the biggest challenge in getting these counts correct, because if the designer and you are doing decreases in 2 different kinds of ways, then that can lead to the arms not being in the correct spot. For this pattern though, it was a little simpler because Tikki is essentially just kind of an oval body. So even if the arms aren't in the correct place, it doesn't really matter because the shape is the same all the way around the body. Yes, I do use a paper clip as my stitch marker. It's my favorite kind of stitch marker because, as you can see, like it wraps around in a swirl pattern, so sort of like the little oval ones, or not oval ones, sort of like the little round ones that come in bulk that you can get on Amazon, except I like this design better because it's so long that you can kind of see it if it's working its way out of your project. And I feel like the round ones, when they start to work their way out of the project, it's a lot harder to kind of see them and notice them. And it was around this time that I did realize that the 18mm eyes that I had been painting all day, because you do have to wait between layers before you can add more to build up the color, were gonna be too small. And so I had some 25s that I painted a while back. At first I thought they were too big. I did put up a poll on my Instagram stories to see what people thought, if they were too big and if I should use the 18mm instead. But I didn't have any 20mm, and I decided that I really would rather have eyes that were slightly too big than eyes that were clearly too small. And I didn't feel like doing any felt cutting that day, so I decided to go with the 25s, and I'm actually really pleased. I think that they ended up being the perfect size. And you can see once she was all done and dressed up, I think she actually came out pretty beautiful. Her eyes are popping out just a little bit. I did use a tool that my husband had picked up for me for Christmas, but it didn't have enough tension to get the backs to slide completely down onto the second like little loopy thing, which I think that they needed to go down. They did go over the first loop just fine, so they are secure, but in order to get that flush look, I think I need something with more tension, which I'm going to be trying to make with one of our clamps that we have in our garage. But I am so happy with how this pattern has turned out. The pattern was written so straightforward, so clearly, and so easy to follow. In the end, she turned out beautiful, and you know, I would make any one of Névine's patterns, and as we're about to see, I make another. Okay guys, and we're back. I am embarrassed to say that I did make the same mistake twice. I painted some 18mm eyes for this kwami, but I did realize my error, and I went ahead and got my bag of pre-painted 25mm eyes, and I chose 2 pairs of greens, and I did sit here and compare them for a little bit to pick the pair that would go best. So I actually did sign up to be a part of the pattern test for Plagg as well, and I was super excited to have my duo, but then every member of my family started going down like dominoes, and we were all super sick. So I messaged Névine and I backed out of the pattern test, and I told her, you know, I love it so much and I would love to make one, but I just didn't feel like I was going to be able to get it done on time for the promotion of the pattern. Now, since recording my Tikki, I've misplaced my 4mm clover hook, and so I decided to try out my 4mm furls. I have used this hook one other time, and guys, I'm so sad to say I'm just not a fan. I'm not. To be fair, I haven't tried their like plastic hooks or their wooden hooks. I've only tried the metal. It's too heavy for me. It doesn't glide as easily. It feels like it makes my projects take more time, and it's too heavy. The same wrist pain started developing as I was using it, and I'm not someone who gets wrist pain frequently when I'm crocheting.
You put color in pictures. Like mom's crochet. What if she just puts black and white? Doesn't make any sense. In Miraculous, the movie, guess what? So when Melanette doesn't know she's miraculous, guess what?
What?
What's the name of her cutie again?
Tikki?
Tikki says, I'm a little genie, but I don't grant wishes.
Really?
Guess what? And guess what? Guess what? And guess what? But guess what? And guess what? But guess what? Guess what? So now guess what?
And for this little kwami, we see the same technique used of the no-sew method for the arms, which was nice. These are also written up to be similar in size. Now my Plagg does come out a little bigger than my Tikki, but I think that might be a little bit on the yarn choice. These are both from Hirschner's, but they are slightly different yarns. For Tikki, I used Holiday Velvet by Hirschner's, and for my Plagg, I used the Soho Velvet, which is a slightly different yarn, and also it could be my hooks that I use, because for Tikki I did use my 4mm clover, and for Plagg I used a 4mm Originally I started with frills, but then I switched over to just a plain aluminum hook, and so you know there are some factors that could be why he came out slightly bigger. So I did go ahead and give these pliers another go with my Plagg because I used them for a different project and they ended up working really well, but those eyes were 18mm eyes. So for this one, I thought maybe to incorporate the warm water method. So basically you get a bowl of warm water and you sit your washers in there so that hopefully the warm water encourages that plastic to expand, and then they are easier to get over the base of the eye and get them to be more secure. This did work for me and I was able to get them more secure, but I did end up resorting to pushing them over with my fingers after using the pliers. So the pliers got them over the initial bump and then my fingers got them all the way down to the base. I did end up running out on daylight on my Plagg, not necessarily because he was taking a long time to finish, but mostly I just had a lot of stuff to get done throughout the day. But I did finish him the next morning, and then I updated my little journal entry on him. I haven't drawn a little picture of him yet because I think I'm gonna do it in some color pencil or maybe just like some little oil pastel. You know, overall he came out super cute. I didn't have any problems and I love the pattern. As you can see, these look amazing together. I think Névine was highly successful in designing these projects in a way where they pair perfectly together and they look amazing. Thank you guys for joining me today. I hope you saw something that made you smile.
And guess what? And guess what? Bop, bop, bop. And guess what? Bop, bop, bop.
Hey, Mommy.
Da-da-da-da. Da-da-da-da.